My name is Shane Leonard. I'm one of the co-founders of Stockflare. Stockflare is a consumer-facing website which is to help people make better investment decisions. So think Yahoo Finance, Google Finance, these services which are insanely difficult for even people who are at LBS to make a decision when they look at an investment. And we're about taking large quantities of financial data, processing them algorithmically, and then serving them up on a plate so that people can make really fast but insightful decisions about their investments. I am a 20-year financial professional, having been in the stock market for a very, very long period of time. I was a #1 ranked equity research analyst covering internet stocks during the first boom. And when I left the industry, I discovered that there was such a lack of help for consumers. And in fact, the finance industry is not to your wealth what doctors are to your health. In fact, it's quite the opposite. They're parasitic most of the time. Now, that made me go, oh, this has got to be fixable as a tool and make it intuitive for people, because if you spend any time, you can come up with it to be quite an intuitive thing to do. And I met my co-founders, who oddly worked at Just Eat, serving pizzas. No, they're developers from Just Eat. And they looked at this and they go, oh my God, this industry is broke. Why is it so hard to do? Let's approach this from a very consumer-friendly environment. How do we eliminate steps in the process to make it much, much easier for people to make better investment decisions? So it took a while for the team to come together, and it took about a year to really get a product out the door that worked really well. And we're now growing at about 30% per month in terms of our top line in terms of users. We're still a pre-revenue business, but we are fortunate enough to be funded by the London Co-Investment Fund and have a good supporter base there.
And I'm sorry, I missed it. You said it's B2C.
It's a B2C. So the service is very much a B2C service. Yeah. However, in the same way that Google is a B2C search engine, the person who is the most benefit for our service are brokerage firms and asset managers, because they have huge quantities of customer bases who are not very profitable, who've got very little assets, who aren't making very good decisions. So we serve them to empower their user base, to empower their clients, to educate those client bases, to save more. Because we really only need people in society to do two things: one, save more, and two, invest better. And we aim to work in partnership with the leading asset managers and brokers in order to do that. We're not your traditional fintech who wants to disrupt finance. We just think that's an extremely monumental task, an expensive one to do. We think it's much better to take the existing people who have enormous brands, really great trust, and then help them be much, much better at serving their client base.
Ideas that can be ignored.
It has to be as big as possible, and then
I'm trying to visualize how the whole thing can come together. Because also, just because we chuck these off, it doesn't mean when we pitch, we don't say this is possible. The next evolution is we add this stuff.
So my question here is these places. So for example, I had a list of places for Cape Town. And if for example, I went there and I visited half of them. But I have really good reliable recommendations. And I will probably add more of it. So probably segmenting between visitors and visitors.
My name is Jill Schletwig. I'm an MBA student at London Business School. I moved to London just in August. Prior to that, I was working in oil and gas as a petroleum engineer. So I'm really excited about getting involved in the startup space and the tech space here in London. I think, after looking at the phenomena of Brexit and Trump and sort of a lot of the shock in the aftermath of those two events, everyone can agree that in 2016 politics really matters. And not only that, but the way that we talk about politics matters. The way that we share media with each other, the way that we interact with that news media matters. And there's been a lot of debate, a lot of hand-wringing about, are we really looking at the media that people are sharing? Are people sharing sites that are actually legitimate? Are people looking at the counter arguments, or are we all just kind of receding deeper and deeper into our own echo chambers that kind of validate what we already believe. So what Farside seeks to do is to present users with exactly that, with counterpoints, with fact-checking, with some way to validate whether the information that they're looking at and that they're sharing is really reflective of the context that it needs to be viewed in. Yeah.
I'm a consultant. I've been in consulting for 8 years since I graduated from London Business School in 2008. And my last 3 years have been in procurement consulting.
Cool. And then can you go over what your concept is over the weekend?
Sure. So this problem that we have in the market is a lot of companies try to go to market regularly, typically through RFPs when they do it. And there's many issues with RFPs. Throughout the process, it takes a long time, and you down select a number of suppliers through proposals, meetings with suppliers, discussions with suppliers, and only at the very end when you award it do you realize that it's actually not the right company in some cases. If it's not the right company, it's too late, and you're stuck for several years on a multi-million implementation program which you cannot get out of. What I realize is an opportunity is to try to get another data point to this process. In other words, someone else who's unbiased, who you can trust, who says how good or bad this one supplier is. Not the supplier, who obviously is interested in selling, but someone else. And that someone else is an existing client or a set of existing clients.
Sure.
So what our product is called supplierratings.com, and what we get is a list of ratings of various suppliers as to how good they are on key metrics. Before you make your decision, you can look at it, and we hope that you can make a more educated decision based on that.
I'm Piotr. I'm MIM 2010 actually. Currently I'm at VC at Orange Grove Capital. We are a fintech-focused venture capital firm, and my background is in both investment banking and technology. I worked for Google for many years after leaving Citi. I think I've met 2 groups so far. One of them was focused on travel recommendations, places, and I think there we focused most on what problem actually we're trying to solve, how can they acquire customers, how can they hack initial phases of growth.
Yep.
The second group was working on a fintech proposition, and I think this group was tackling a very big and interesting problem. However, they still didn't figure out the regulatory issues and how to fit their solution to the existing environment, existing players, how to work with them and tap to the network. I think it's a very good point to mention that you should be able to show something after 48 hours. I think first group I tried to give them advice exactly how to at least be able to hack this initial growth, prepare something valuable in 48 hours. The second group was working on something very ambitious, and to be very frank, I'm not sure they'll be able to show meaningful progress in 48 hours. However, in their case, they should be able to brainstorm at least a very detailed roadmap and plan. How are they gonna fit into existing ecosystem, which problems they will tackle, and what are the next steps in terms of partnerships and discussions they need to make a product work.
Yeah.
I'm Shadi. I'm an architect, so my background is as a designer. I'm doing actually a master's at UCL, Technology Entrepreneurship, to get more involved in the entrepreneurial world. So there's a big customer problem in the Middle East, and it actually started from my own problem. 3 months ago I was in Iran, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, I really need a snowboard. Can I pay you so that you can get it for me?" So I got the snowboard, but so because she's not able to actually buy it online, so she has to tell me, and I'm going in 2 months, so I'm taking the snowboard with me, which is a very big problem. And also it's taking 4 months for her to get her snowboard. So the idea comes from being able to purchase things online and get them delivered in the Middle East, because they all have the same problem, and there is a massive market there, and people are willing to pay for things and buy things online, but because there are trust issues between the purchasers in the Middle East and the e-commerce retailers in the US or Europe. They're not able to do that. So with Merx, which is the name of our company, we want to sort of bring together these two sides and sort of make peace and tell them that they can trust us, both sides can trust us, and we would be the trusted person to go to so that they can access the goods and then they can get them delivered to the country that they want. So this is it. So we're saying shop anywhere, ship Middle East, and buy goods directly from abroad and be trusted. And then here what we have is, are you able to purchase things from US and Europe? If not, what is restricting you? So custom restriction, shipment and delivery, online payment are refused. And then normally, how are you paying things right now? And which websites would you be willing to buy from? So from experience, and I know because I'm from the Middle East, I know that typically they buy from individual retailers, so H&M, Topshop. These are the places that they like to go and to different websites to see things. They don't necessarily go to Net-a-Porter or something.
I'm Matt. I run Bitsesti. We are a digital product consultancy. We help startups, charities and the government build web applications primarily. I've seen a lot of people doing a lot of research about business models and how we can how they can make money. But I think you've got to take a step back as well, and one of the parts is validating your idea, making sure that idea is useful. And to do that, you need to talk to users. You need to think about what would, one, identify who your user would be, and then two, figure out what they would find useful. What would they value? I was talking to one startup and they were thinking, okay, well, perhaps we might charge users to use the product. And I was thinking, well, yes, you could charge them, but how much would they be willing to pay? Would they be willing to pay? That's something you really want to test. And you could test by asking other contestants, like other participants here today, would you use it? But to really get a good idea if people would pay for it, you'd have to go out and hit the pavement and go out and talk to people and see if they really want to actually pay for it and what they would pay.
We're working on an app called Kindy Moments. And basically the whole idea is around increasing the amount of visibility for parents with kids who are in the ages from 0 to 5, primarily in the 2 to 5 year old space, because that's when a child exhibits like their greatest amount of growth. And the thing is, they're in the school, they're in preschool, they're in kindergartens, parents are busy, they are actually missing out a significant chunk of that child's growing years. Right. And so the whole idea is to increase the visibility that parents have between like what the child is doing during the school hours, while the parent is not there to observe them. And so that's on the parent side. On the other hand, teachers are having to deal with a lot of paperwork to try and generate these what we call learning stories to inform parents about what they're actually doing. And for them, a teacher on average has about 15 to 20 kids per teacher in a class that they have to generate learning stories for. Now you can imagine that that's a lot of paperwork. So we're trying to facilitate this whole process, making it streamline it a little bit more, making it a little bit easier for teachers to be able to generate some of these learning stories, and also so it saves the teachers time, and in turn they can then generate a whole lot more of these stories for parents, so parents have that visibility.